Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 26 of the Big at the Back podcast. Matt, how are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Another week down. How many more to go? But yeah, it's Monday evening. We're heading into Champions League midweek and double game week territory and blank game week territory. So it feels like it's coming thick and fast. Speaking of thick and fast, how are you?
I knew that was coming. It was about me and not my mother or my wife or something.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, all good, all good. I'm feeling quite impatient about this week on FPL. I feel like this weekend, from a football standpoint, it was good, but from fantasy football, it felt like nothing really happened that I cared about. And all of the decisions that I've made, I think are good long-term decisions. So I want to see some payoff now, and it's not happening. So I feel
such a millennial, aren't you? You can't need instant gratification.
Yeah, I feel like I just don't have that at the moment with FPL, and there's so much exciting stuff coming. I just want it to actually happen. So I'm feeling a bit, I don't know, I'm impatient. I want the next game weeks to come now.
It's hard. I'm in a similar boat really because, like you say, every decision we're making at the moment in terms of transfers and strategy is for 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line, and you're trying to reconcile that in your brain when you're maybe not getting the best scores right now, but you're hoping it pays off in a few weeks' time, and it's really hard to really have that foresight, which we are trying to do. And then the other sort of, that's the angel on my shoulder and the devil's going, just take hits.
I mean, you say that as if I haven't taken hits in the past 2 weeks in a row.
Well, even more hits. But then you're like, oh, lump in on these players. They're really good. Oh, but they've got 3 blanks coming up. Yeah, but they're really good.
Oh, let's buy Matoma at the restart and have him for his run go of 8, 9, 10, 12, and then he gets 1 blank and 25. That doesn't matter because we're FPL players. Hate it when the casuals are rewarded.
Yeah, it's disgusting, filthy fucking casuals.
Oh, let's post about Trent's 12 points as if we haven't been having him for the 1s and 2s. Like, shut the fuck up.
We're off to a strong start.
How was your week on FPL? Talk me through your game week.
Oddly all right. I was following all the football on Saturday, and I was like, this is going to be a dreadful week for everyone, to be fair, because you see those results coming in. Man City drawing 1-1, Southampton beating Chelsea 1-0. The only sort of really saving graces were Arsenal and Man U, I guess, performing sort of to expectations. So I'm currently on 57 points. I say currently, there's no games left today. I've finished on 57 points, which is, quite a bit above average. I made no transfers as well, so didn't have to worry about anything like that. Kepa, what were Chelsea doing? Nothing there. A back 3 of Shaw with his clean sheet. Trippier just getting the 1 point. And thanks to Rico Lewis not playing, Tyrick Mitchell coming off my bench with 6 points as he was subbed off before Palace conceded, which was lovely. A midfield 4 of Martinelli on 6, Rashford on 15, Ødegaard on 8, and Kevin De Bruyne on 2. And then front 3 came with 5, and Nketiah with 2, and captain Haaland 2, doubling up to 4. So yeah, the City boys really letting us down this week, and all aboard the why didn't I captain Rashford train. But overall rank back up into the top 1 million after dropping out last week. I feel like this is going to be me flirting with that top 1 mil for the rest of the season, but hopefully I can push on. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, you'll almost certainly push on. Like it's around this time of the season you just start flying, and I just start completely faltering, which isn't good. My worst season ever. So I ended on 49 points, 53 minus 4, so dropped about 50k ish. So I'm now about 582k overall. The Chelsea boys just didn't come good. I brought in Badashi and João Felix. Both of them coming in with 2 points. Again, I don't regret captaining Haaland. He got a hat-trick in half a game against Nottingham Forest in a reverse fixture. And, well, he should have scored one, but even if he had put that away, it would have been 6 points probably, because he wouldn't have got any bonus. Maybe KDB would have got bonus then if City had won the game. But yeah, I still think Rashford was the objectively right decision. It's the guy in form, playing really well against a really bad defense. Why didn't we just captain Rashford? And it was kind of the on paper move, but Haaland's just got such an upside that it's too scary almost to go against him. And that's something we're going to speak about on today's pod. So our topics of this game week are Liverpool players and other double game week players. Who do we like? Who do we trust? Who do we think are traps? Haaland's captaincy. What do we do about Erling? Do we auto-captain him? Is he still the go-to auto-captain? We're going to look at captaincy for this week specifically because it's going to be one of the double game weeks. As we know from last season with Weghorst and Emmanuel Denis, captaining a double game weeker is always the way to go. And we're going to look at how we can actually free up funds in, say, an average squad to fund some of these Liverpool moves in particular. So let's dive in. Liverpool, I guess, are one of 4 teams with a double game week this week. The 4 teams are Arsenal. Everyone's got 3 of them. Liverpool, everyone's got 0 or 1 of them. I'm one of the few that has kept Darwin throughout this hell show. Actually, he did well when he was playing. He was just off injured at 59 minutes. But he's got a goal, which was nice. But then
take that all day long.
Yeah, 100%. Then you've also got Tarkowski. I might as well call him that because Everton, there's only one real option there, and we'll get to that in a bit. And we've got Wolves. So the obvious place to start is the place people are going to invest, and that's Liverpool. Because 2 games against Crystal Palace away and Wolves at home, 2 easy games on paper. I'm a biased Liverpool fan. You're probably a bit more rational about this. So what are your thoughts on Liverpool assets at the moment?
My thoughts are I'm terrified to go into this game week not owning any of them, which I don't currently do. I think they've picked up obviously 2 fairly decent results. How much you can read into them can be questioned because it's a very poor Everton side, admittedly in a derby, so they could have got up for it. And then a Newcastle side who shot themselves in the foot. I think maybe they had one eye on the Carabao Cup final this coming weekend, but also Nick Pope getting sent off like that really, really obviously ruined their day.
Can I still man this argument?
Of course you can.
Liverpool without Thiago looks so much better. He was just a complete luxury in the middle. And without him playing, suddenly we look more sturdy. Van Dijk's back now as well. Konate will be back soon. Admittedly, we're still not great, but I think in the middle, we're now actually looking like a competent force that we weren't when Thiago was playing.
But then on the flip side to that, I think Newcastle still created a lot with 10 men. They hit the bar. They were carving out chances. A couple of good saves from Alisson as well. So you can easily see a world where they don't keep a clean sheet in that game. And the same can be said for both of these fixtures coming up against 2 fairly poor sides at the moment. Palace are sort of sleepwalking their way towards a relegation fight at this rate, and Wolves are obviously well in that scrap as well. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a school of thought where I take a hit to get a Liverpool player in alongside my already scheduled transfers, but it really is a matter of weighing up. And obviously, we've got the Champions League game in midweek against Real Madrid to navigate as well. So, like Salah is the obvious one. Darwin is an obvious one. Gakpo is sort of flying under the radar a little bit. A lot of people are looking to get him in. And then you've got the 2 fullbacks. So they're the ones that people are going to be targeting. And I think they're the only really logical options. I mean, the big brain play is Diogo Jota, but he's not going to start, is he? And he might get 1 start out of 2.
Well, Gakpo's got 2 goals in his last 2 games. I think he gets a run in the team now. Darwin's not going to get dropped. Salah's not going to get dropped. Jota is on the bench for the foreseeable until one drops out of form. I do think.
Well, I just see it's 3 games in 7 days. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a start out of the 2 league games because I think the Champions League one is out of the question.
Potentially, I love Diogo Jota. I think he's a really good player. Firmino's back as well. Darwin picked up a slight injury, but it looks like he's probably going to be fit for Real Madrid. He had a loan fit for the weekend, so I'm not too worried about that. What you're saying is quite interesting because I think Liverpool have got the potential for clean sheets in these two games. I don't think it's guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. Look what happened the last time we played Wolves. But I do think there is potential for it. So I would really advocate for a Trent Alexander-Arnold or Andrew Robertson. I don't think Van Dijk is the worst idea in the world if you can't afford either of the fullbacks. But I don't mind Liverpool at the back at all. Gakpo, I will probably be moving for him. I think if you're looking at a player that's kind of a halfway measure, like a Joe Gomez or a Diogo Jota or a Roberto Firmino, I think you're probably shooting yourself in the foot. They feel like traps to me.
I can see a world where they're all traps, but we will see. It just feels like everyone's jumping on the Liverpool bandwagon now because of 2 wins and obviously a decent double. So it feels like maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part. One of these where we're sat here in just over a week's time going, what the fuck happened there? They've lost 1-0 in both games.
We should have captained Haaland.
Yeah.
It's possible, but I think Liverpool seem to have got a bit more of their swagger back, at least transitioning the ball from defence. And again, it's tough to say at the moment, but people are starting to come back from injuries. I've been very negative about Liverpool in the past few weeks, but I really have liked Darwin Nunez and what he's doing up front. I think Salah's looked better. He's not okay. So let's pivot this slightly and talk about captaincy this game week, because I think it's a really interesting conversation. If you bring in Salah, then you're almost certainly having to captain him. However, I don't think he's the best captaincy option. If you're going to, 4 or 5 captaincy options, and I'm going to ask you to rank them. So Salah, Saka, Trent, Haaland, or Odegaard?
I think you've got to put Haaland goes down the list, probably at the bottom for me. One, obviously, it's a single game week. I know it's Bournemouth, and he could easily bag a hat-trick. But the main thing, my concern with Haaland at the moment is his form away from home, and City in general, their form away from home. So Haaland, I think, has scored 1 in his last 8 away Premier League games. He's doing the damage at home. So I would be looking to avoid that. Clip this because he'll score a hat-trick. Trent, I'd probably put then next. Yes, obviously in previous years, and you have got like 2 Liverpool clean sheets on the bounce, but I just think he's got a lower ceiling than any of those attacking players mentioned. So that leaves me with Saka, Odegaard, and Salah. I'd say Odegaard probably comes in next at 3rd. I just think, especially recent form, he got away with it. He somehow picked up the 3 bonus points with his 1 assist. So I think that
he was
he did have a very good game. He missed a sitter though, didn't he? So like if that would have gone in, it would have been a laugh for anyone that did have him. So then it's between Saka and Salah, and I think it really is a bit of a coin toss. I think Saka's the more form pick. I mean, in sort of over the course of the season, really. And his strike, that goal against Leicester was a thing of beauty. Against Villa at the weekend was a great strike. But you look at his recent returns, 6, 15, I know that was a double. Then was the 1 blank, 9 and 6. So he just seems to be the more consistent pick than Salah. So I'd probably say Saka would be my first pick. But I don't think you can really go wrong either way. I think if you're bringing Salah in for this game week, you probably have to captain him.
I disagree with your order quite substantially.
If you put Salah last because he's shit.
Not quite. I think in the last 2 Liverpool games when we've supposedly been good and turned a corner, I don't think Salah's been the most dangerous attacking assets. I think actually Darwin and Gakpo have looked more threatening. Salah's been more a creator.
But you didn't give me those options, Tom. You didn't give me those options. I'd have put Darwin higher up than Salah, yeah, for me.
No, you wouldn't. Don't lie.
I would have done.
Really?
Yeah, I genuinely would have done. I think he's more likely to get returns.
Darwin or Saka? You just made the case that Salah was equal to Saka. So would you put Darwin as the perfect captain for this double?
There is a real thought in my head of taking a hit to go Kane to Darwin and captain him this week.
I'll tell you what, that would be really, really bold. That makes things really interesting. So I've got Darwin at the moment. He's not in a conversation for me as for captain. I think he's a really good player. I just don't think I would trust him with the armband. So if you're looking at that order, I think Haaland is the lowest. You're right. Their away form we'll come on to do. I actually think then Odegaard is second lowest. While he's a brilliant player and we love him and I want him in my fantasy team forever, he's just not pulling out trees enough. His ceiling isn't high enough. I then have Salah as third, and the choice is between Saka and Trent's for me, because Trent's avenue for points is there's so much more than any of the other players. Clean sheet. If he gets anything, he'll get bonus points. Assists. He's got a goal threat from free kicks. I think Trent is probably among the most creatively brilliant players in the league, while also playing for a defence that's got Virgil van Dijk in. I mean, you say his ceiling's not as high as the others. Trent's highest points this year is 19, which is more than Salah's got in any single game week so far this season. So I'd argue Trent's ceiling is just as high as any of the others. However, Saka is the man in form. He's the safe option. It's head v heart for me, and I'm really, really considering putting the armbands on Trent for this double game week.
That's bold. It's bold. It's a bold strategy, Cullen. Let's see if it pays off.
You just told me you captain Darwin, and yes.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what I think it is for me with that temptation is I can then not have to worry about all the Liverpool assets and shit myself all week, although it'll probably be him that blanks and everyone else hauls. But like, I just feel like I want to be in on the pain if everyone else is. So I don't know. It's a tricky one. I wish I might just captain Rashford anyway. He hasn't got a game, but I'll captain him. Surely he'll get some points somewhere. Give him points for the Carabao Cup final. That sounds more fun.
Give him points for that one City fan that said the reason Lewandowski is known for doing well and Rashford isn't, it's because they celebrated their goals differently. Lewandowski didn't score, mate.
It's outrageous, isn't it? But yeah, no, I think like this sort of brings us on to that other point we were going to talk about, which is that sort of the lesser of the double game week teams, because obviously we've got Everton and Wolves in there as well. Is there anyone that tickles your fancy?
Can we start with Wolves?
Because go on then. No. Just no. Yeah. Can I not interest you in a bit of Adama Traore?
They're playing Fulham away. They'll lose that. They're playing Liverpool away. They'll probably win that 4-0. But no, there is no one at Wolves that even remotely tempts me. Absolutely no chance. Maybe they're an FPL blind spot for me. I don't think I've owned any Wolves players in the past 3 years. I don't think I will own any Wolves players for the next 3 years. Even if they go on this insane run and they end up top of the table, I'm not doing it. You can't make me. What about you?
No one. Like there's, I feel like Wolves are a team at the moment that I could name probably like 5 of their starting 11. I know Ruben Neves, João Moutinho. I know quite a lot of people have got Bueno in. It's just as a sort of a bench fodder option. Yeah. But obviously, if they're doubling, he might squeeze their way into the starting 11 there. But I mean, they got Matheus Cunha up top, who I don't know, doesn't seem to have really started off life in England particularly well. Adama Traore's still knocking about after his weird loan move to Barcelona last year. What happened there? It's just, I don't think any of them are really... You're not bringing anyone in if you haven't already got them, have you? Even though they are doubling.
No, I don't think so. I just don't think there's... I think Ruben Neves is the only one that I would even know. And his most ever goals in a Premier League season is 5. And he's already got that. So he's done. He's capped out. He's not scoring any more goals, folks. Ruben Neves is done for the season.
Remember when I said that about Solly March?
Clip that, ready for the Liverpool game next week.
Oh, God, yeah.
There's no one at Wolves that remotely interests me. Everton are a more interesting they're a more interesting team, though. One of the games is Aston Villa at home, and then they've got Arsenal away. I just think with Everton, Tarkowski is the only one you're really looking at. If they keep a clean sheet, then he'll get bonus points. He's their best defender and also actually their best attacker. You've got to think Sean Dyche is just going to say, fuck it, and play Tarkowski up front at some point. He's the only one I think I would be remotely tempted by.
I would say so. The other option is Mikalenko. It took me ages to recall his name then. But because you might get some attacking returns from a fullback as well. Obviously, Seamus Coleman got their goal at the weekend. Can I interest you with a bit of Seamus Coleman? Yeah. But yeah, I think it's Tarkowski, isn't it? He's like you say, he's a threat from every set piece. And under Dyche, set pieces are going to be such an important part of Everton's game. So he is the main man. Like, Ellis Sims up front, Dwight McNeil, Alex Iwobi, these names. I just like, you're not getting any of them in, are you? Like, you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Yeah, and you've got to think as well, one of the games is against Arsenal, who they beat last time. Arsenal are going to go there really fired up.
Especially as it's at Arsenal this time as well. Like, they haven't got the Goodison crowd behind them and all that. So
it could be a massacre. Like, Arsenal are going to be really angry about the loss. They're going to go all guns blazing. They'll have just played. Actually, Arsenal's fixtures are Leicester away and Everton at home. Saka's the clear captaincy option. Let's make that very clear now. Saka is the clear captaincy option. I might do it Trent anyway, just because heart overhead.
Captain Tarkowski.
That's a ridiculous idea. They're going to ship 4 or more to Everton. Or to Everton, to Arsenal.
To themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they might say 4 Tarkowski own goals. Channeling.
I've got to give a shout out to a friend of mine in our Curry League last year, Luke Titcombe, who, when Everton had a double game week towards the end of the season, captained Michael Keane. And in the first game of that game week against West Ham, he got sent off.
Fantastic. Oh, Michael Keane, the original man who created the North East South shit list. Glorious respect to him. Yeah, I think you're only going Tarkowski. There's no one else that's interesting. Calvert-Lewin, you're just not going near if you know what's good for you. He's almost certainly not starting. Alex Iwobi, just if you are a glutton for punishment.
Terrible footballer.
Great footballer. Demarai Gray, can I tempt you with a Demarai Gray or a Dwight McNeil?
You cannot at all. Speaking of terrible footballers, though, remember we had the conversation either last week or the week before of who would get more points out of João Felix and Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz didn't even start at the weekend.
I mean, João Felix still got 2 points, though. So
yeah, I know, but you see my point. Even Graham Potter has realised that Havertz is a terrible footballer.
As soon as he stopped starting, Chelsea start losing. To the bottom of the league.
They did not start losing.
As soon as Havertz doesn't play, Chelsea lose to bottom of the league, 20th place Southampton.
Although, to be fair, that was their first defeat. They were unbeaten in their previous 4, but 3 of those were draws.
Still, Havertz is the leading the defence from the front. What can we say?
Grow up.
Havertz, man, great footballer. Grow up. Terrible. I really, really want to look at other Everton players. Mikalenko, you can make an argument for if you can't quite afford Tarkowski. Everton also play in 28 as well. They've got Chelsea away. So
I think Mikalenko and Tarkowski are the same price.
Are they? Oh, in that case, get Tarkowski. I thought Tarkowski was at 0.5 more expensive, no?
No, as far as I'm aware, they're the same price. So that debate well and truly settled. But I think that's the only real option, isn't it? Jordan Pickford, anyone? Throw a keeper in there. Why not?
Absolutely not.
He's going to save a penalty. You heard it here first.
There is... I'll save a Bukayo Saka penalty.
Yes. 100%.
That's almost certainly going to happen now we've said it out loud. Jordan Pickford will ruin Arsenal's title charge. Everton will get relegated. and he'll still run around celebrating in the streets. That's 100% going to happen.
I want to talk about Erling Haaland.
I was about to say the same thing. We're so
because like I said, his away form is a big talking point. So further down the line, when we get through this mess of this double game week, because like we say, he's probably not the captaincy option at the moment. When it gets to a couple of weeks' time, when they play Crystal Palace away, I think is their next away game. Let me double check that. Yes, Crystal Palace away in game week 27.
Not interested. Not interested in Erling Haaland then. Ivan Toney, double game week, Everton and Southampton. Ivan Toney will certainly be my captain that week. Erling Haaland, not interested. Game week 28 against West Ham at home. I don't really see a better captaincy option.
He is 100% scoring a hat-trick in that game.
that feels like an Erling Haaland captaincy. Well, Spurs play Southampton away, so maybe. But yeah. Oh no, game week 28. They're not going to be playing.
Oh, that'll be the blank. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not captaining Haaland in 26 either against Newcastle at home. So yeah, Haaland until the blank. Just I'm not going to be captaining him.
Then the next away game after that is Southampton in game week 30.
You're probably going to captain him for that. And then it's Leicester at home, the worst defence we've seen in a long time. You're probably going to captain him there as well, aren't we?
It's tough because, like I say, the home games, I think he's a no-brainer. He's a captain, lock it in for the rest of the season, basically, unless there's a juicy double for someone else in there. It's just these away games. And I think that some weeks there may be better options. Like you say, obviously the Toney one in 27 just makes the most sense.
Is it just when Rashford has a good fixture? Because when City are away, United tend to be home because policing in the city.
So yeah, like Crystal Palace away in 27. The other option is Rashford. Southampton at home. Yeah, could he outscore Toney?
Yeah, I think Rashford definitely outscores Haaland that week. I don't know if he outscores Toney. I would probably still go for Toney just to hedge my bets there. But I'd like it. I wouldn't be offended by thoughts on a Rashford captaincy there at all.
Yeah, and then the other one, when they play Southampton away, Man United play Everton at home.
Yeah, that'll be Rashford for me. That's Rashford all the way.
So, like you say, if they're often opposites, they're pretty much always opposites unless they're on different days of the week. So, is it just a rotation? You play Haaland's your captain one week and Rashford's your captain the next week.
I don't think there are any other captaincy options if you're looking at it really. It's Rashford or Haaland. Rashford's in form and Haaland showed what a beast he can be. I'm conscious that last season with Mo Salah, the first half of the season, captained him every single week. He was the auto pick. Second half of the season, he kind of faded off. And yes, AFCON has something to do with that. Yes, Liverpool's decline has something to do with that. But if the same kind of thing is happening right now with Haaland, I want to be the one that's buying last year's Heung-min Son. I don't want to be the one that's remaining captaining Haaland because that's eventually. I was about 9K last year and I dropped all the way to 85 because I was just sticking with Salah over Son every week and it was just hurting. So I want to be reactive to form, and the form at the moment sits with Rashford. He's the one I'm after. He's going to be the one I'm sticking with. Except in game week 30 when I'm captaining Iheanacho at home to Bournemouth. You heard it here.
I'm going to hold you to
that. That's a genuine thing. Iheanacho and Maddison are almost certainly going to be in my wildcard team, and I will captain one of them when they play Bournemouth at home.
That is so bold. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it a lot. I really hope you follow through with that.
Okay. Here's a pledge. If I am in the top 400K, because I'm about 550-ish now, then I will follow through with that. If I'm outside of
you're not going to be in the top 400K, are you?
If I'm outside of the top 400K, I will still follow through with that.
That's what we like to hear.
That sounds fun. I feel like that could be really fun. I could get weak knees and go Rashford, but I hope I don't.
You almost certainly will.
Madison's reliable. When he plays in that right, he's really good. So I agree. I also want to speak because we're looking at affording these Liverpool players. They're often quite expensive. Most people have got to drop either a Kane or a KDB to get them in. Now, KDB for me has been tremendously disappointing. Yes, he got 15 in the double, but apart from that, dreadful. And his shooting was absolutely awful against Forest.
Yeah, there was a couple that he had a decent chance. One cut back to the edge of the box and it went well over. So yeah, it's one of those because again, at times that you watch him and you think he looks just fantastic, and he is a great footballer. There's no denying that, but he's just his FPL returns have been underwhelming for someone of his price, especially over the last probably since the World Cup, really.
Well, before that, he hasn't scored. He scored one goal since game week 14. I think people talk all the time about Salah's decline, yet we've all got KDB in our team. Salah's been better on FPL than KDB has.
Has he?
I don't know. I'm going to double check.
That is a big shout before you've checked it.
He has. Yeah, he has. Oh, no, he hasn't. 122, 125. Think of how much we've captained Salah versus captain KDB, though.
Yeah, no, that makes it is a similar level of disappointment. But I think I'd say the Salah disappointment's more because of the standards he's set over the years, and obviously a lot of Salah's game was based on goals. But then you could say for De Bruyne, the introduction of Haaland, you'd think that he would then rack up those assists. So that's probably where the disappointment comes from. You'd expect that team to be dominating everyone and everyone to be racking up the points. But it seems as though like your likes of Mahrez has been picking up that slack. But so I mean, there's your cost cutting, or Harry Kane obviously is the other one we've spoken about. Obviously
Kane at the moment, because 2 games where you'd have bet your house he would score, Leicester and West Ham, and he's just come away with 7 points from 2 games, no goals. And I don't think he looks like scoring in either of them.
No, he did have a shot against West Ham that basically almost went out for a throw-in as well at one point. He just didn't have his shooting boots on at all. Their fixtures coming up are pretty good. Chelsea next at home, and I mean you don't know what you're going to get with that Chelsea side. Wolves away, Forest at home before that blank. So the question is, what do you do with him in the meantime? Do you hold on to him because of these next couple of good fixtures before that blank, and then when they come back, it's Everton?
Why do you hold on to him though? Because I think you're going to want to move to Tony for game week 27, the double, and you've got a double right here in 25. I think most people will want to move to Darwin Nunez. I think if you're going to ship Kane out, now's the time, and then in 28 you can change it with the wild card. I mean, this is coming from me, and both of our planners to use the wild card after 28. A lot of people are free hitting, which is different because it's like free hit in 28, have the team set up for a 29 bench boost or something, then wild card a bit later. So a lot of people are doing that. But if you're like us and planning to wild card for 29, then I think if you haven't got KDB and you're trying to free up money, Kane goes this week for me.
Probably. And like I say, this is the dilemma that I'm toying with this week. And like I said earlier, is Kane out, Darwin in, potential armband on Darwin. But that's still to be seen. But you'd like to think that over the course of those 2 games, Darwin's going to make up that deficit from Kane. But you watch him score a hat-trick against Chelsea now.
Probably. I mean, what's quite nice about Darwin, though, is after 25, you can happily move him out because Liverpool have got Man U at home, and then you can move him out for Ivan Toney, who has Fulham at home. So that's going to be my plan. I'm going to have Darwin in for 25, move him out for 26 to play Fulham, and then Brentford have got the double in 27. I'm also going to have Matoma for 26 as well because they've got West Ham and then a double game week.
I like your thinking. I am thinking very similarly as well, which is boring when we're thinking about the same things. It's much more fun when we want to do different things and argue about which one's best.
I mean, I'm probably going to captain Trent this week. So if you
There
captain
you go.
Darwin, I'll captain Trent.
Oh, if
How's
you
that?
show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Yeah, go on. I mean, actually, Tom, you haven't got Bukayo Saka. He's the most likely to get returns this game week. What are you going to do about getting Bukayo Saka in? You got away with it this week with Martinelli's jammy goal.
What a goal. What a goal.
Celebrated before he scored. He just knew he was that good.
So, well, I mean, this can be the big reveal. I've already made 3 transfers for this week. So, the thing is, I'm probably going to look like an idiot now because I was worried about price changes because the 3 transfers I could make, I had literally the exact right money for. And there's almost certainly going to be price rises between now and then that will ruin that for me. But obviously, if I go Kane to Darwin, none of that matters anyway. So, but I'd already made the transfers before I even considered the Kane to Darwin move. So I have taken out Aaron Creswell. No, not Rico Lewis. Who else have I taken? Who else did I have in defence? I've taken someone else out. One sec. Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's gone. So yeah, Shaw, Cresswell, and Martinelli are out, and in come Emerson, Tarkowski, and Bukayo Saka. So that's where I'm at for this week. So that leaves a current starting 11 for me coming up of Kepa, Emerson, Tarkowski, Lewis, Erdegaard, De Bruyne, Andreas Pereira, and Saka, and Ketia, Kane, and Haaland up front. Obviously, Rico Lewis has barely played a minute of football since I brought him into my team. So I have one player on the bench that could come in from, and that's Tyreek Mitchell. But we'll see if he plays as well because he came off early with, I think, a bit of a knock when he banked his clean sheet. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, at the moment I have a decent enough squad to get that 11 out. And looking further down the line to 28, I have enough time between now and then to get sort of at least 10, 11 players out for that week. All things going well and injuries permitting and things like that.
You've got to be starting Tyreek Mitchell. Nice easy game for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Liverpool at home. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Crystal Palace beat Liverpool. No, they never concede goals in that fixture. I think that is actually Liverpool's favourite fixture of the past 5 years.
Yeah, remember when Salah came off the bench to score? Was it 2 and an assist or?
Yeah, it came off the bench in 68 minutes, and as a captainer, I was raging. Then he got 2 goals and 2 assists off the bench in 22 minutes. So I think if Palace are in trouble, I wouldn't be. They've got the double in 27, but I wouldn't be buying any of their players. Crystal Palace, I would like to be able to get behind. Double in 27, they play in 28, but the fixtures are so bad, and football is just so uninspiring.
Yeah, and like when you consider, obviously it's Liverpool next. They do have a double, but it's City and Brighton, is it?
Yeah.
So that's 2 tough games, and then Arsenal straight after that. So I mean, Mitchell's just there because he's there, but if I were wildcarding right now, he would definitely be nowhere near my squad.
I can imagine. Well, he's definitely someone to fix. Yeah. For the next week, then, I guess my thoughts at the moment in terms of my own team are probably that I will move out. Oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Is there an argument for losing Trippier? And I'm not talking for my team. I'm not going to do it for myself. But I think there is an argument to doing it.
Yeah, I think there definitely is. Blank this week, City next week. So there's that. And actually, well, the reason you probably want to keep him is he plays in 28. Yeah. So that's probably the reason you want to be keeping hold of him, which is why I kept him instead of Shaw, plus the money issue. But it just makes more sense to hold on to him when they definitely play in 28.
Yeah. I mean, I can go KDB and Lewis to Gakpo and Trent. So it's moving some money around. It's putting some money in the bank. I really like the idea of, and it's only a -4 as well, which this week with doubles feels like nothing. I could even also go short of Tarkowski. for a -8, but that feels a bit precious because I don't think Everton I don't think they're keeping any clean sheets, yet alone a couple of clean sheets. But that's the thinking at the moment.
Yeah, I think that pretty makes sense. You could argue the Tarkowski one works because again, depending on what your long term plans are, they do play in 28. Admittedly, it is Chelsea, but who says that's a bad fixture at the moment?
I'm here with Chelsea.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? I feel like it's only a matter of time before they start getting something. Because like you look at their fixtures, and they all look pretty good from now until like 32 or 31. So you've got to feel like it's going to click from at some point. But as Paddy Power said, Potter hasn't been in this much trouble since he was entered into the Tri-Wizard tournament.
For God's sake. And on that, I think it's worth ending. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and apologies for the last 30 seconds. Come and chat to us. You can find us on Twitter at @BigAtTheBack.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Higgins92. Tom is at TomMadden92. Remember, guys, European football this week. So if you're thinking about making transfers, thankfully all the ones I've made aren't being affected by the European football. But obviously you've got Liverpool playing Real Madrid on Wednesday night. So keep an eye on that for squad and injuries and things like that. There's still a long way to go until the Friday night deadline. Also, don't forget Friday night deadline. What a game on a Friday night. Wolves and Fulham.
Going to be wild, guys. We're all absolutely buzzing for it.
I'm going to be sitting there cracking open the tins, kicking the missus out of the room. There's a big game on. Fulham v Wolves. Come on, Andreas Pereira.
It's going to be a nightmare. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll look